Okay, we are live. What's up, everybody? This is the GoatCast podcast. What's up, YouTube? This is CW feeling the effects. I think some of that beatdown Minnesota gave to the Denver Nuggets last night crossed over here because I've been feeling rough all day, been in the bed, but had to make it here tonight. But here with my esteemed colleague, BigNige. What's going on, BigNige?
Just had a great dinner. Got me a couple things. Payday, so kicking off this Friday right, and hopefully the Knicks make my prediction correct tonight, and hopefully they close this thing out in 6. But we'll see.
Yeah, close game so far. And So there's been some interesting talk for the past. I think this happened maybe sometime last week. Austin Rivers brought up that he felt that current NBA players could make the jump over to the NFL, excuse me. I think he said like 30 guys from the NBA could actually play in the NFL, but not vice versa. Okay, that's a big claim. And I'm gonna let you start with your thoughts. Can current NBA players make the leap to the NFL effectively?
Well, I had to look into this one a little bit. So I saw that Greg Olson had some thoughts on this, and he said that according to the quote, Austin Rivers said I can take 30 NBA players right now in the NBA and throw them in the NFL. You can take 30 NFL players. You said you cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA. So that's obviously what caused a whole bunch of stir. And of course, J.J. Watt chimed in. He said, "You don't got a job in either right now. Go ahead and try it." And there was some other backlash from other people too. I'm not going to get into all the details, but obviously there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to this topic, and that's why we're diving into it. So that being said, Greg Olson doesn't agree with 30 NBA players, but when they asked him the question, he was like, "Yeah, maybe a guy like LeBron in his prime. Obviously, LeBron's up there in age now. Anthony Edwards could certainly do it. He believes Russell Westbrook, and because what he was describing was, football is one of those sports that you can kind of get by with raw athleticism, size, strength, God-given physical abilities, and then you can kind of learn as you play." And on the other hand, in basketball, like when he said, like, could NFL players cross over to the NBA? And athletically, he says there are some NFL players who could, like Travis Kelce, more players like that, even like to a lesser extent, maybe the athleticism of like an Odell Beckham Jr., because I've seen him play basketball a few times and he looks pretty good. Patrick Mahomes to a lesser extent too. I've seen him. He's a little crafty. He's got some size on him. But the skill set is where I think he disconnected where NFL players going into the NBA, because they have the athleticism to maybe hang with certain players, but the skill set, the dribbling, the shooting, defending at a high level, like those things, you can't just insert somebody in there, an NFL player, and say, all right, you can go stick with a Steph Curry, because even though you might be pound for pound bigger than Steph, it's just so much like a methodical mindset. You got to understand how to guard him, understand you have to push him, one way versus the others. You have to guard him with screens. And so now you're thinking this game in a completely different aspect that, some people might not be realizing when they're pertaining to the subject. But for the NBA players, I mean, I think a prime LeBron James, we've already seen that he got offered 2 NFL contracts. Right? I think it was during that NBA lockout season, if I'm not mistaken. Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks, and this was back in the lockout 2011. So these are 2 people respected in their field in the NFL that offered LeBron James a contract. So they saw enough of LeBron that they were willing to offer him a contract. So definitely LeBron is a strong candidate. And they put some LeBron versus like some top NFL tight ends. You have Tony Gonzalez, who's 6'5", 243, vertical leap is 33.5 inches, and he runs a 4.49 40-yard dash. Compare that to LeBron James, who's 6'9", 250, 44-inch vertical leap, and a 4.6 40-yard dash. Very comparable. Obviously, LeBron's a lot taller. You got guys like Travis Kelce, who's giant. He's 6'5", 250. He is a 35-inch vertical leap and a 4.6 40-yard dash. So comparable to LeBron. LeBron outleaps him a great bit, but they run about the same 40-yard dash. So, and we see how good Travis Kelce is. So imagine that, but 4 inches taller with a little bit more athleticism. World may never know, but that's a really good, strong candidate. Anthony Edwards, I don't know if you guys remember, but he made claims about he's going to be the second player to play. He can be the second player to play in both the NFL and in the NBA. I'm not sure who that first player was. I don't know if
was it Charlie Ward. I don't think Charlie Ward. I thought played. He made it to the NBA. He was He was known for football, but or was it Julius Peppers? Did he?
I think they said Bud Grant, according to what I'm looking up right now. Legendary coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Bud Grant played for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minneapolis Lakers. So that was forever ago. But
before end of our time, basically.
Way before our time. But they're saying that, Anthony Edwards at 6'4", 225. He's got size, speed, strength. Pretty much can play whatever position he wants. They said he has the arm strength and accuracy to play quarterback. Possible, he's got good size on him as well. Very athletic. I'm throwing some other guys in there like Russell Westbrook. We've seen his offensive motor. He's relentless. I think when we see guys like Kevin Love and we see those dimes, he throws full court passes to LeBron and other players. I wouldn't mind seeing him with that football in his hands at QB, and that's just me personally. Other people like Lou Dort, I think has a good shot. He's a very physical guy. I want to say Zion, but like he just can't stay healthy enough for a basketball game. So I'm not even going to disrespect the NFL and say he's going to stay on the field long enough to play, full football season. I think a guy like Drew Holiday's got a good shot too, just like Anthony Edwards. Obviously, I wouldn't pick a lot of these guys unless these guys are in their primes. Like Anthony Edwards is probably the closest because these other guys are kind of up there in age, and we're not putting them in the NFL. We're not going to disrespect the NFL like that. But yeah, certainly those guys in their primes, I think they have a legit chance to play in the NFL.
Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna just say there's been a lot of hot takes in the last, year or so, and this might be one of the craziest. The simple answer is absolutely not. I mean,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. The small you named enough people for one hand. So yes, absolutely. I mean, LeBron James is a super athlete. You could probably transition him to almost any sport, and he could learn it and become great at it. But he's one of one. Anthony Edwards, okay, he's a little more compact. Lou Dort, those guys like that who are, not long and lanky. Yeah, they could probably do okay in the NFL. But
Steven Adams, strongest guy in the NBA, what they say.
I mean, possibly, but no, these guys can't. I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous to think that you would even put any kind of NBA player in the same realm as an NFL player. I mean, yes, they're fast, they're athletic, but the only position they could probably play is either wide receiver or tight end, and you might can get somebody like a.
What about QB?
I mean, Kevin Love maybe, but the thing is, like I said, these guys are not even built. Most of those guys are not built like NFL players, and most NBA players are long and lanky. Imagine Wemby out there on a football field.
Okay, but Wemby wasn't an answer I put out there.
But I know, but I'm
nobody's
saying
built like Wemby.
I mean, yeah, but 30 players could transition over from the NBA to the NFL is just ridiculous. I put the wrong thing in the little title. I meant
but I was gonna let you go though.
yeah, let's change that. But no, I think it's a ridiculous take. I heard Gilbert Arenas and them talking about it yesterday, I think it was, and they were like, absolutely, they could. No, I mean, maybe a guy, Gil's what, 6'4",
Give or take,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, and he's more a little compact, so maybe somebody like him, but there's a lot of intricacies in NFL that NBA players would have to learn. I mean, I think the learning curve is steeper for an NFL player going over to the NBA just because you have the whole dribbling and all of that. So you have to. So that's a technique that is learned. You can't just pick up a basketball and know how to dribble well. I mean, I played for years and I'm not very good at it either. but but you look at, if you play Madden, you look at all the kind of schemes they run and routes they have to run and angles they have to play in. These guys, I mean, like you said, LeBron, Ant-Man, and that might be the only ones I would put. I mean, Lou Dort, yeah, but it have to be players that are built like that are built, stocky, even Zion. But, like I said, he would probably play one game and be out for the season. So, but I just think it's a ridiculous claim. If Austin Rivers said they could play non-American football, soccer, absolutely. Those guys are built like soccer players. So I could see them doing that. But playing football, NFL, no, that's just, it's not going to happen. It's just, they just can't, it's just a simple answer. They can't do it. What positions are they going to play?
I mean, it depends on the person, honestly, and what the team needs. But like, think of it like this: because obviously we're not saying that these NBA players can just go step foot on the NFL and be successful. What we're saying more like, I see the comment from Ron. Shout out Ron, but that's one of my friends.
Okay.
but no, obviously, so we're not saying that these NBA players can just jump straight on the NFL field and dominate and contribute. What we're saying is give them a summer, right? Because you can't do that for the NFL into the NBA. You can't give an NFL player the summer to work on his basketball skills.
You could. I mean, technically,
no. Come on now. That you have a better chance convincing someone that an NBA player with 3 months of training, right? If they're playing, tight end or whatever position that they feel like they need to throw in, I think an NBA player could, if they match up, physically and strength wise, weight wise, athletically, whatever. Like if they match up well with their opponent, and then you throw in the schemes that they can learn as they go, because let's be honest, people are going to miss, catches. People are going to miss coverages all the time throughout an NFL game. So the adaptability, I think, comes into play for an NBA player who's already used to adapting to schemes. Like, okay, yeah, someone might beat him in the coverage this time, but maybe as the game goes on, that NBA player could definitely adjust better than an NFL player. And we're not saying 30, but I'm thinking, out of my list and out of like maybe some more research, maybe like 10 guys. 10 guys is probably
that's a small percentage of the NBA, but okay. So, but you might could take. I mean, are we saying this as if the NFL players never played basketball in their life, and we're saying the NBA player has never played football in their life?
Well, I mean, no, because like LeBron played football in high school, and he was a pretty big deal for football back in.
So I mean, if you play both, you have some semblance of the fundamentals. So if you're an NFL player who has hyper athleticism, you're probably going to try to slim down some. You're not going to take all that bulk onto a basketball court, but you have the dribbling. You know what to do. You know how to dribble. If you play basketball, you know how to. You might not be good at it, but you know how to. Couple of, you go to a specialist training, they'll get you right in the summer.
You think what? You think someone like Lethal Shooter gonna get an NFL player ready to play in the NBA?
Well enough to, play his role, yeah. They're not going to go out there and be a point guard. Absolutely not.
That's what they're going to have to be because most of the bigger NFL players are what 6'5".
You can put them at centers now because they can just.
They're going to get this. What? Come on now.
Look at DeJuan Blair for the Spurs. Big body. He was way shorter. He was like 6'7". He was like 6'7". 6'6". Okay, that's small for a center.
Yeah, but he's still NBA like what I'm saying is like he still has experience playing basketball probably his whole life, guarding bigger guys, and he has experience with that. So when you put him with the Spurs, of course, in that system, which you don't have to be outstanding by yourself. Like, has anyone ever heard of Tiago Splitter outside of the Spurs? Heck no. Right? Because that's the system that
he put him in there with Wemby, and just all he's got to do is box out, just push those guys away from the basket. Wemby will pick the board, and
okay, but Wemby's a generational talent, though. Like we can both agree, Wemby's not some Joe Schmo like Tiago Splitter, right?
Tiago Splitter ain't Joe Schmo. He
is definitely Joe Schmo. If you did not hear about him in the Spurs, you're not hearing about him.
He sent your boy his shot back, so
my boy sent his shot back too. Met him at the rim,
but he's NBA level. If you put just like you were saying, if you put those NBA players with the right team, with the right system, okay, they could play NFL some. But if you did the same thing for an NFL player, put them with the right team where they can use the little bit they have to do what? Play their role. They can play their role. But to say that an NBA player goes to NFL and just cook is crazy.
No one's saying they're going to cook.
These guys cry about playing 65 games. Imagine them getting hit over and over and over in an NFL game.
It's for 17 games, though.
They're going to quit. Well, 17 games of brutality. I mean,
I agree with that.
Okay, so if these guys can't play 65 games in the NBA where it's softer than what now, then transition over to NFL, they're barbecue chicken.
But your mindset is going to be different, though. Like, you got 3 months. Obviously, 3 months isn't a big sample size to get your body physically ready for the brutal beatdown that you're going to occur every day. But to say that the NBA players couldn't, when we know for sure NFL players could not. How you tell me what NFL player is scoring on Wemby?
What NBA players scoring on Wemby?
Okay, exactly. These are professional.
So, I mean, that's the wrong example.
I'm just saying, and there are definitely NBA players that are scoring Wemby. Even brother Kai Jones, that's out of the league, or he just got a two-way with the Clippers near the end of the season. He dunked on Wemby like first play. Like,
okay, well,
we ain't gonna act like Wemby can't get scored on because we see what's his name, Trey Jackson, whatever, from the Warriors. He boomed on Wemby too, and he's like a 6'7" or whatever 6'6" center. You know what I mean? So it's like Wemby is not, he can definitely get scored on. We see LeBron hit a corner three in his eyeball. Like he can get scored on. But what I'm saying is people are running away from him. Like NBA players are like ducking and not doing layups. He's stopping whole fast breaks just from standing there because he's huge. But it's like you have to think, you have to understand, like, I'm not going to just go up willy-nilly on Wemby. And as an NFL player, if your mindset is to go through people, right, even with 3 months of basketball training, your fundamental thought in your mind is if I go at this guy's chest, that's going to give me enough space to finish at the rim. And we've already seen it don't work like that with Wemby, with any shot blocker, really. I mean, besides maybe Rudy Gobert because he's, softer than baby wipes, but it's just certain guys you have to play a certain way. And I'm just saying for the entirety of an NBA season, you put an NFL player in there and he's riding the pine all the way to Kingdom Come.
Probably. I would say the same about an NBA player on an NFL field. But quick question. So you couldn't put an NFL player in a PJ Tucker style role where he's just out there to do the dirty work. He's
cardio?
Cardio? You don't think NFL players have cardio?
No, I'm saying you're putting him out there for cardio if you're saying the PJ Tucker role.
Okay, well, you're putting out there to bother some player, and you see. I mean, you watch that Nuggets game. You see how NBA players react to physicality.
I mean, but it's physicality by other NBA players, like other smart.
If you teach them defense, and most NFL players have pretty good footwork.
How you gonna teach defense though? Like, come on, let's be honest.
Teach him to stay in front of his man. I mean, how do you teach anyone defense?
How? Okay, but we're saying 3 months. Like, and you're saying he has
if that's what you hammer into their head.
But if you're saying he has prior basketball experience, correct? You saying he has prior basketball experience, right? The NFL player.
Yeah.
So you're saying he's supposed to guard players at the highest level, not high school, not JUCO college or whatever. Like, we're talking about the best of the best. You're telling him stay in front of a starter level player in the NBA. So if you're saying the PJ Tucker role, PJ Tucker's probably guarding their best or second best player. Okay. Are you going to put an NFL player on the second and best player of a playoff team or an NBA level team? Not maybe the Pistons.
You could.
There's no way. You're out of your mind. You're out of your.
I mean, and you're talking about putting NBA players out there on the NFL field against people that know exactly how to play, know how to hit them the way that is going to put them down hard. And you're saying they could go out there and do that and start and be.
I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters. I'm just saying you give them that entire season. I think they would do better.
In 3 months they can learn how to play NFL level football.
I'm saying they're going to perform better. They're going to perform better than the NFL player you're putting in the NBA. I guarantee you that.
I think it depends a lot on the position, the team, all of that.
But NBA players can pretty much play any position in the NFL, minus like, certain players can probably play any position. But in the NBA, the only position that most of the football players would play would be point guard, unless you want to throw them at the 2, maybe.
No, you wouldn't.
What 6'4" guys playing at the 4 consistently?
I mean, Charles Barkley.
Okay, but Charles Barkley's a Pantheon great. We ain't comparing nobody to Charles Barkley.
So, I mean, they could become a Pantheon.
No. You got to give me a regular NBA player that you could even maybe compare.
I mean, Zion's only 6'6".
Yeah, Zion, but he's got like a 45-inch vertical.
A lot of those football players can jump and leap.
Yeah, they can jump and
leap. If they lose some of that weight, they'll probably jump out the gym.
Okay, but jumping out the gym don't got nothing to do with actual IQ of the game.
Okay, well,
learning where to play, learning how to play with your teammates, learning the schemes, learning how to defend at an NBA level, learning how to get yourself open.
If you can lob it up and he can get it and put it in the basket, that's all you need for him to do.
But there's a lot more that goes into that play specifically than just running and catching a lob. It's about timing, precision, the shot clock. It's about what's the strong side, what's the weak side, things that you're going to have to teach that player, and he's going to have to perform in real time. And I'm not very confident that an NFL player would be able to do that.
Exactly what an NBA player would have to do in the NFL. So it all ties back together. Neither one can do the sport.
Okay. Put Anthony Edwards at wide receiver. Who's jumping over him? You're just telling one guy to run a route, and then if he has
to know how to run that route. And you're saying
that's not that hard. You're telling the NBA
you're saying those guys aren't fast enough or quick enough to follow him. You don't think a safety's going to? I mean, he can jump. He can jump off the field, but jumping on hardwood is different than jumping on turf.
I agree.
So, he might jump high in an NBA game, but with not that type of foundation, he might not jump that high.
I promise you, whatever safety you got back there for Anthony Edwards, he's clearing him. And we're talking about success in the NFL. You put Anthony Edwards at wide receiver, it's wraps, dog. It's wraps.
Okay. Well,
it's wraps.
Please do that. Please do that and see if Anthony Edwards has much of a career after his first 2 or 3 hits.
He's basically like a baby Gronk with mad athleticism. Like he's going through most people out there. I'm not saying he's going to crack everybody, but in terms of just his sheer advantage, just by his athleticism and his size, ain't nobody doing nothing with that.
I mean, you have you're high on Anthony Edwards. I can say that much. But yeah, I just feel like it's a crazy comparison. It's a crazy thing to say. I mean, yes, there are those that can make that transition and make it successfully. I think on both sides, you know, if the argument is an NBA player could get acclimated to the NFL quicker, maybe. Okay, I might give you that, but
definitely.
But NBA players playing in the NFL and playing meaningful minutes, I just don't think they can. I just think their body type, they're going to have to completely change their body, you know, unless you're a LeBron James. But how many players in the NBA are LeBron James size and just built like him, built like a tank?
Like 6'8", 240, 250?
Yeah, who's built like a tank, who's built like him, can do the things he can do.
I mean, nobody can do the things that he can do, but like we're not going to act like there isn't other 6'8" guys who got size on them. You know, 6'9" guys that have size and strength and length. Like, but you know what I mean? Like,
I'm just saying because he's not super lanky. He's more. I won't say he's compact. He has long legs and stuff like that, but he's built in a way that he could probably shrug a lot of those guys off. Whereas
Zach Randolph, that's another big body.
I mean, he's not currently in the NBA, but
I'm saying we talking about players.
I mean, yeah, you could take. I mean, yeah, Karl Malone, those type of guys could probably do well in the NFL, but you know, I don't know. I just think it's a weird topic, and I think ESPN should check what's in Austin Rivers' cup before you let him have a live mic. So that's all I got to say. But I think we spent enough time on that. Transition to our next topic. Got a lot of good. Wait, no, that's the wrong one.
Boom.
We have a lot of great NBA players coming up right now. You talked a lot about him, Anthony Edwards, who was insane last night. You know, you got Luka, Jokic, Giannis, all these players that are, you know, stamping a name for themselves. But do you see any of them able to crack the NBA's top 5? Now, I meant to go back and get our top 5s. And if you want to just briefly say your top 5 of all time, you can. But if you want, I'm gonna just ask the question: do you think any current player can get into that top 5, and who would you move off your top 5 to put that player in their spot?
Current player, the trajectory. I mean, for all who don't remember, my top 5, I had LeBron 1, MJ 2, Kareem 3. I think I had Tim Duncan 4 and Magic 5. I had either one of those two swapped because the best power forward, best point guard, and obviously MJ, Kareem, and LeBron, you know, they have to be in somebody's at least top 3. Okay. And I think you had a similar list, but I think you had Shaq in your top 5, correct?
I had Shaq number 5 and Duncan 4.
Yeah. So can any current NBA star crack the top 5 all time? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the only person who I think has the trajectory, I think Wemby has a good chance of breaking in my top 5, assuming his trajectory stays, progressing. Obviously, he just had a historic rookie season. I'm looking for him to expand on that, flesh out some of the weaknesses in his game. I'm hoping the Spurs front office can get him some help because I think they got the 4th pick and the
4th and 8th pick.
4th and 8th. Yeah. So I definitely look for them to at least do something with those, whether it's tooling around Wemby, getting another star. I know there's a lot of names out there like Trae Young or maybe they try to go get Donovan Mitchell or something, or whatever the case may be with that draft capital and the assets they have. But obviously, Wemby could because of him being a historic shot blocker at this in this day and age. Obviously, in being a very good lob threat and just being 7'4" and basically a dribble demigod. Um, so I look for him if he has a good career. He's probably going to be up there in all time blocks. Probably going to be somewhere high on the scoring list, considering the volume and the like. He's going to be the Spurs' number one option for the foreseeable future. Um, I mean, a guy like Jokic, I mean, he just won his third MVP, so I'll have to put his name up there. Do I think he'll crack the top five? Probably not. He's only got one chip right now, and maybe he pulls some because he's been playing very, very well this postseason. Definitely some in and out games with that team, but just for him as himself, has been playing really well. He had a masterclass of a performance in Game 5. That's going on his all-time resume. But he is almost 30. He's pushing 30, if not 30 already. So
that's
29. And he's not very athletic. So again, his game translate into his older age. But I don't think he has a desire. Like, I genuinely think he probably has maybe 6 more seasons in the NBA, and he's probably going to call it. I just don't think he cares that much, personally. But everybody was giving me flack for my whole Shea and Jokic thing. Like, I have no problem with Jokic. He's a phenomenal player. Will he crack the top 5? I don't think so, but it's not going to take away from his greatness, because he will probably go down as one of the greatest centers of all time, and doing it in a very unique style that we have never seen before.
Yeah.
I say that to wrap it up, and Luka has a chance, but again, he's got to get some bling on his fingers, because it's looking more and more like he's empty stats guy, and he's a walking triple double machine, but his teams aren't winning at the highest level to put him in these, especially top 5 of all time categories. So yeah, I think Jokic, Luka, and Wemby are probably my 3 that would, talking about young stars. But I think Wemby's the only one with a legitimate chance to actually do it.
Okay, well, I mean, we're kind of similar in that. The one player I want to talk about that I thought had the best chance at one point, but it's kind of squandered it, was Giannis. I think Giannis was moving into that. He was considered the best player in the NBA. He was winning MVPs. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was just shattering all kind of, doing all kind of great things for that Bucks team, but it just came to a huge halt. And the last few years have kind of, and I think what really hurts him is because he's older now, and because that Boston team, I think it was 2022, when they played him in the playoffs, figured him out. And I just don't think he's got time, or he has the talent, but I don't think he has a skill set to really get a consistent jumper or a consistent 3, which if he had, I think he could possibly get to that 5 spot at some point, but he's too old now, and I think he's been a little bit exposed as far as how great he is for a team, because the Bucks have kind of fizzled since winning that championship. So I just want to put that one out the way. Luka, like you said, Luka's still young though. Luka's what, 26, something like that, 25, 26,
something like that. Yeah.
So Luka's young. But like you said, he might just be that empty stats guy that looks great. You look at his box score, you see he's got 40, 10, and 10, but they're not winning. And he doesn't really have any hardware right now. I don't think he has any awards so far. And you have to have that if you're going to be considered a great, because those guys have a chest full of of awards. So you got to rack up on those. And he's going to have to do it pretty quickly, I feel, because his time, once he cracks that 30s, as injury prone as he seems and hobbling around, it's going to be tough for him to keep that consistency. Jokic could, and like you said, he's one of the most unique centers we've ever seen. So I think he has that going for him. The fact that he's the first of anybody we've seen that has been a point center, and just like a playmaking center that nobody can really stop. If they lose to Minnesota, it's going to hurt a little bit. But if he can get them about 2 more championships and play with the same kind of consistency, I think he'll definitely crack some people's top 10. I don't know. I don't think he has enough time to get into the top 5 yet, but I think he can crack the top 10. I think that's his ceiling. But of course, Wemby. I think Wemby, because he was just insane this first season, and this wasn't even his best. They don't have a point guard for him yet that can really get him going. And when they do that, it's going to be even scarier. So, I mean, he could have and he's only 20. So the fact that he was doing the things he was doing this year, and he's not even close to his prime, that's a scary thing. I mean, I could see him maybe, coming close to and it's a very hard thing to do, but he might get 5 blocks, 6, 7 blocks averaging one of these seasons because he's just that good at blocking shots. And, if he can do that, and if he can, continue to get better offensively, he's going to have to get a little better on the boards. I think he's not quite the rebounder that I think someone his size should be. Once he bulks up a little bit, I mean, I could see him taking Shaq's spot on my list. Probably not Tim Duncan's, but because he'd have to do a lot of winning to get to that Tim Duncan spot, and that's the only reason I have him at 4 is because he, came in winning and left winning. But if he can get to that level where the Spurs are just a constant playoff threat, win championships, and he's going to continue to win awards, then I think he'll surpass. I don't think he'll surpass those top 3: Kareem, LeBron, Jordan. I could see him getting past, in my list, Shaq and Tim Duncan. So, yeah, those are my 3. And Anthony Edwards, as great as he's looking, I don't know. And I hate that they made I think Gil said this too. It's bad that they put that comparison with Jordan on him because now the expectations are way higher. So now people are expecting Michael Jordan 2.0. And Ant might not be that. He might be just as good. He might be Dwayne Wade 2.0, or I don't think he'd be Kobe 2.0, but he can be in that Dwayne Wade conversation. But putting him in the same breath as Jordan this early,
yeah,
that's going to be who he's compared to, and that's a bad comparison right now, because if he's not winning or he has a bad game, they're like, this guy ain't Jordan, so he's not that good. So, but I mean, he could, the way he's playing, his confidence, I don't think he'll get in the top 5, but he could, I think we'll see him rise some as the years go. So with that said, you got anything else for us tonight?
I think Wemby has another good case to probably break the DPOY, like the number of most DPOYs.
Definitely.
Probably could snag, a couple MVPs along the way, some finals MVPs, a couple chips. I mean, just he might be one of those guys that could win probably the most awards. Maybe not the most championships, but I think he could probably win about 4 or 5 defensive player of the years easy. I mean, he's only 20. He could probably win he could win a lot of those. Where he could be the all-time leader in defensive player of the year awards, which would put his case up there for top 5, definitely top 10 at an earlier stage. And then as he continues to, get continued success in that top 5, obviously could be a steals leader. He's got quick hands. Obviously his assists, he's a pretty good passer. But he's not obviously, I don't think he's generational. So that's something that maybe if he were to incorporate that and he's getting maybe Jokic level passing ability or, whoever, and that could be something that could add to his case. But yeah, I think just in terms of his defensive player of the years and grabbing some championships along the way, some MVPs, I think that DPOY will definitely be a case to put him in the top 5 because he's probably going to have more defensive player of the years and all these guys maybe combined,
yeah,
in at least my top 5. So
yeah, so I mean, he could probably win some scoring titles too. He get the right point guard around him that'll actually pass it to him in the right spots. I mean, ain't too many people stopping him, so he's gonna get a ton of points, and he can shoot the 3. So I think he's the only one I see that sky's pretty much the limit for what he can do, and the fact that he's shown us he can do it at a pretty high level early means that his ceiling is pretty high. So, how about Caitlin Clark? What do you think? Is people giving her a fair assessment so far? They're at 2 games in.
They're thinking she's next coming of Michael Jordan. They're expecting 96 Jordan. They're not expecting the earlier days, the rookie days. But I think she's looked solid. Especially dropping 20 points. I think opening night, right? 20 points.
Double, 20 points, 10 turnovers. So
I mean, hey, that happens with the physicality of the WNBA. Yeah. She's feeling it early. But now I like what I'm seeing from her. Obviously, her team as a whole hasn't been playing very well, and she's, like I said, been turning the ball over. But obviously, this is her getting her reps up and understanding the physicality of the WNBA. It's different than college. They're not just going to let her just kind of lollygag her way to the basket or step back, pat behind the back. Like, no, they're in her chest, and they're making sure she gets touched on every shot, every dribble. They're bullying her.
And they're targeting her. You can tell
it's personal. The WNBA is definitely sending a message to her. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from Angel Reese.
That was a surprise to me. Yeah.
Someone in the comment section said she does the most awkward layups, but they always go in. Yeah. I definitely can see that. But I like what I'm seeing for those 2 specifically. And I mean, I've tried to catch more games as the nights go on, but obviously I can't watch them all. But I definitely like what I'm seeing from those 2 for sure.
Yeah. See, so far Angel Reese has been a pretty good surprise. She's played well to start the season. So, yeah, make sure y'all check out WNBA because they're playing some good games. I mean, we need to support them too, especially in these summer months once the NBA finals are over and there's no basketball until summer league, but we don't even watch summer league like that. Well, I don't, but So to give you something for the summer months, they definitely put on the show. So you gotta start showing some love to the WNBA. But I think that will do it for us tonight. Any parting words?
No, it's the weekend. I hope y'all have a great weekend. If it's payday for y'all like it was for me, hope you guys have a good weekend. Spend your money responsibly and let the person you love them. Let them know.
I got 2 weeks until payday, so this wallet looking a little rough right now. But just appreciate you guys for the likes, for the subscribing so far. We've done pretty well, and I hope you guys have been enjoying what we've been putting out. So we're going to continue to do that, I guess, every Monday and Friday. So come check us out and continue to watch these playoffs because it's heating up. It's anybody's ball game so far. So
we'll know about the conference finals on Monday. So definitely check us out on Monday and see what we got for the conference finals.
So yeah, and I think somebody owes you some money. So he's got it in his hand. So yeah. So here's your greenery. So he's got it ready.
My green stuff, I need it. I got to have it. Damn.
So yeah, that's what you get for betting on Luka. But either way, that'll be it for tonight. We'll see you guys Monday.
All right, y'all.